All right, so we're talking about how Google's new AI mode is reshaping SEO for therapists. And I laugh because it changes every 3 days now. I can't even, like, I promise you my talk will be obsolete in about 24 hours. No, not completely, but it is changing so fast. And I'll tell you this, as a marketer, this is what's keeping me up at night now. I guess there's other things too, but this is really keeping me up at night. So as we get into this topic, what do practice owners want? Well, at the end of the day, you want your practice to show up on Google when people are looking for your services. That's what we want. The problem is Google has rapidly changed their algorithm to introduce AI into search results, but it's taking even a bigger leap into what they're calling AI mode. And I think we're going to go through an adjustment period where it's going to greatly reduce your practice's visibility if you don't start doing some things to prepare now. This AI mode it feels like it's the Wild West again. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give us a little bit of history. I'm gonna show you a little bit of some of the internal testing I've done on my own website, and then just to kind of give us like what is happening with Google these days. I mean, they just had let's see, there's so many things happening with Google. I won't get into that one, but like it's hard to understand because Google will say they're for one thing. We don't do these things, but they actually end up breaking their own policies. Like we just like Google just testified in Congress that the Biden administration was asking them to censor content. And then Google was saying, we don't censor content, right? So you're going to see this now in what's going on in the AI as well. It's wild. All right. So, but I want to talk a little bit. Some of you heard me talk about this, but I think it's still helpful to talk a little bit about big therapy as it's taking large swaths of the marketing market of the Google search results right now. And when we talk about big therapy, I'm talking about the online providers and all the venture capital, the billions and billions of dollars that have gone into the venture capital markets, come from the venture capital markets into the mental health space. And even also the directory sites. So I gave a talk yesterday, and we were saying how Psychology Today and Good Therapy were like the OGs of the directory sites. And then since really COVID, there's been a huge growth in these directory sites. Now, I'm not, don't hear me wrong. Like I'm not poo-pooing these, or, these are all businesses and they all serve a legit business purpose. But what I think practice owners need to know about is how that's actually changing the landscape as it comes to Google. And they could be for your advantage as well. We'll be able to test some of these things out today. So big therapy, we talked about this at the summit last year, is that big therapy is going to outspend you in digital marketing. So if you do a Google search that says counseling near me, three out of the four top page spots could potentially be a directory or one of those online providers like Grow Therapy, Hello Alma, BetterHelp. Psychology Today is going to show up there a lot. They're going to outrank you on SEO. So like, for example, if you type in therapist near me, there's a good chance you might see one or two organic results that are just Psychology Today. You have Yelp, Good Therapy, ZocDoc, Mental Health Match, and the list goes on. Google Ads. I jumped on a call, a TheraSAS client. They said, Brent, can you just look at my Google Ads? And they were spending thousands of dollars every month on keywords that that had nothing to do with their business. And so it's just Google Ads are more expensive. They're confusing. And now they have some of these quote unquote banned searches for keywords now that you have to get special exemptions for, like counselor near me. Let's get a little context of what's going on with Google search now. 2016, you can see here in the image here, position one, you would have some ads and then you'd show up in position one there in the organic results. And then they also had this thing called People Also Ask. And now in 2025, Google has added all of these extra features: AI overviews, which we'll jump in just a minute, featured snippets, ads, People Also Ask, what people are saying, discussions, and videos. So now, if you were position one organically, now you're going to be pretty much at the bottom of page one. If you were in positions 3, 4, or 5, you're essentially on the second page. And the joke is like, where do you hide a dead body? It's on the second page of Google. Like no one goes there. So that's kind of where we're at now in the landscape for Google search. Here's another interesting, this was a 2024, last year they did the study, nearly 60% of Google searches end without a click in 2024. They call this 0 clicks. So for every 1,000 US Google searches, 360 clicks go to the open web. So 0 clicks are like, you ask Google a question, AI overviews, or they surface some other answer, and you don't click on anything. You get your answer and you're done. All right. They don't go to your website. Now, 360 of those clicks go to the open web. So what is the open web? It's like organic sites, like your site, my site, their SaaS, Brand Your Practice, our blogs. That's the open web. And it's not considered a Google property either. So these are just people's blog sites or people's websites. Here's, so of the open web clicks, a third of those clicks actually go to Google properties. So Google's now saying, here, open web, quote unquote, open web, here's some YouTube links, here's maps, here's images, here's news. So even those clicks that are going to the quote unquote open web, Google's also cannibalizing with those own properties. A huge split of impressions and actual clicks as happening. They're calling these alligator charts. So you'll see there at the top is the purple line's impressions, the bottom lines are clicks. All right. And what you would see early on is that if your impressions are up, your clicks would go up, because that makes sense, right? If more people are, if your website links on Google are showing up, people are going to click on them. But now we're starting to see a huge divide. What's going on here? Because Google's saying, look, impressions are up, everybody. There are more and more people. Your website's showing up. And you're like, well, my clicks are going way down. So if you see your clicks in Google Analytics, your click-through rate and clicks in Google Analytics going down, we're going to talk about why that is, because we're calling these alligator charts. These are for all my Florida people. All right, alligator charts. And I was like, is this true? And I looked it up on my own website, and it's pretty close. I'll show you that in a minute. So we have these two big challenges, really. It's the rise of big therapy and the Google AI mode, which is now really challenging local businesses like ourselves. All right, quick little update. How did I get into all of this? Well, my wife came home 9 years ago now. And she said, I wanted to start my own private practice, and I want you to do all the branding and marketing. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds like fun. I have no idea how to do any of this. I don't know anything about websites. I don't know how to build a website. I don't know anything about SEO. I didn't even know what a sales funnel was. We didn't have money to pay someone to build us a website or anything, but we wanted to live in Chicago and be near family. But in order to really make that work, you really need to have two incomes. So we were starting this from scratch, and we really had to make this work. So I went down, when with the prospect of not putting food on the table for your family, it feels real. You learn how to adapt pretty quickly. So it wasn't that dire, but in my mind, I went there. So I spent thousands of dollars learning all this, so you wouldn't have to. And because of that, here's the update. So here's our growing little family. So we have our sweet little new surprise baby. His name's Isaac. He's 10 and a half months old now. And I just love my family. It's just great. And Kid Matters today. So this is my wife's practice. It's 11 clinicians. It's 100% private pay, $1 million in revenue, and over 4,000 email subscribers. And a lot of that was due to me doing SEO work, building a collaborative brand. And, but this is changing. We have to be thinking differently now. And today, Brand Your Practice has helped launch, grow, and scale over 12 practices at this point across the country. And what have I been doing? Well, I've been doing a deep dive further into the whole stack of marketing. So from branding, newsletters, social media, YouTube videos, trying to crack that algorithm and all those things. So I've done all the marketing. And what has happened is then this new problem came along is as you scale up a practice, you need something other than Google Sheets to keep track of intakes. And that's where TheraSaaS has come in. And that's starting to really transform a lot of private practices and helping them with their sales and marketing. And we already talked about the Group Scaling Summit. All right, so today's plan, we're just going to do a little overview, comparison, AI overviews versus AI mode. And then we're going to do a live demo. So if anyone wants to jump on a call, like jump up here and we can just hang out with Google AI, and I'll show you how I like to interact with Google AI mode, and that could be helpful for you. But let's talk about your own private practice and see what happens. So if anybody, raise your hand and Nate can find it. And if you want to be the lucky demo person, we can go through Google's AI mode together. And then we're going to be talking about potential solutions and how we can maybe figure out how to make this work together. All right. AI overviews versus AI mode. Have you heard from people? I'll put a 1 in the chat. Let's do this. Put a 1 in the chat. Oh, Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. Yes, front of the line. Ashley, I bet you sat in the front of the classroom too in school. Always ready to raise your hand. I think. Thank you. Put a 1 in the chat. If you ever heard from an SEO expert or someone that said, you need to create authoritative content and blogs and you will rank on Google and you'll get traffic. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever heard that before, or put a 2 in the chat if you've not heard that before. Okay, yes. Yes, Brent's like, yeah, Brent, you actually told me that. Yeah, Shannon Tate said 2. No, 1. Yep. Yeah, a lot of ones. A lot of ones. So here's the dirty little secret about AI, Google's AI overviews. There's a little meme here. I want to zoom in here. I'm a Star Wars fan, an OG Star Wars fan. The new stuff is trash, but that's another webinar. So we got Anakin, young Anakin here that says, Google, give us your content for AI overviews and you'll reward us with visibility and traffic, right? Visibility and traffic, right? Well, let's see what Google is doing with this AI overview. I had this blog post. It ranked so high on Google, and I purposely wrote it to rank high on Google. And Google saying, create authoritative content and Google will reward you with traffic. And now Google is saying, thank you very much for all that wonderful content you've given us, because we will now take all that content that you've written and we will write our own content based on that. So AI overviews is essentially, if I zoom in here, is a blog post like how to create or how to start a private practice. Google's taking all your content and all the other content and creating their own blog post. What's really nice though is they do give you a little link here, but where are they getting their content from? Reddit. Dr. Cassidy, I've been trying to outrank her for the last year. She's got really good SEO. Simple Practice, by the way, Simple Practice, they jumped on this is where my little gripe with Simple Practice, but they jumped on a call with me and we talked about SEO, and then they started just reverse engineering all my own blog posts. Not taking my content, but reverse engineering it. And because Simple Practice is such a big site, I started ranking less, right? So Simple Practice has got a couple blog posts there. So Google's now pulling all this information, the bad therapist. Oh, well, look at here. Brand your practice. I got a little quote. Alma, right? So they're taking all this content and making their own content. And this is interesting. So Google on a tweet over here, if you could, can I zoom into that? Yeah, I can do that on there. That's cool. So Google had this tweet. It said, today we released an August 25 spam update. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Now, this guy named Nate Hake, he said, I'd like to report a spammer called AI Overviews. It's coming up #1 for a ton of queries and violates all these Google policies. No firsthand experience, uses extensive automation, no expertise, primarily summarizes what others have written. So Google's AI Overviews is essentially breaking all their own policies on this, okay? Like, all right, well. So there's this saying that like, maybe it's not a saying, but Google tells you to do something, to basically do the opposite. Because Google's desperately trying to stay ethical as best they can. So I ran my own test. I ran my own test in my blog post on what's going on here. And I encourage you to do this as well. If you have a SEO software or Google Search Console is free. You could take a look. So I had this blog post, how to start a private practice. I did all the things Google told me to do to show how authoritative I was. It's a few thousand words long. I have lots of images and graphics, lots of videos. I mean, I did everything. And actually, Google rewarded me. Back in 2021, you can see here my rankings. This is like in the 20th position, right? So they're testing it out and people were clicking on it and hanging around. And Google's like, hey, your website's actually people valuable. People are clicking on it. They're staying around. They're engaging in the content. And so from the end of 2021, all the way through the end of 2024, I was ranking in the first ranking 1 through 4, and it was moving up and down. Okay. Now, 2024 hits. They start doing Google AI overviews. And there's also more competition in the SEO market, right? So I was enjoying the good times. And so I started ranking 5 through 20, just bouncing around. And this turned blue because I started shifting. I started doing some SEO tweaks to see if I can get it to rank. It would jump up, then all the way down, jump up. Like Google's trying to figure it out. Let me show you why this was important for my business. So this is a graph of my email subscribers to my newsletter on a blog post, on that blog post. So starting out in 2021, when I launched that blog post, I had a pop-up that says, download the checklist of how to start a private practice, and I'll give you even more resources. And it started out at 11 subs a month. So I get 11 subscribers a month. 2022, it's going up. At the height in 2023, I was getting over 200 email subscribers a month based on this one blog post. Okay. Still riding the good times. 2024 hits, AI overviews come in, more competition. You can just see it tank. And then down here at 2025, like I was getting 50 subscribers a month. This was a little glitch here. Don't worry about that. So you could see from the heights, my glory days of growing my email list to shrinking up. And so I was like, all right, let me see. Yeah, sure enough, I had an alligator chart. Look at this here. And earlier, before the 2024, impressions and clicks were kind of going in concert with one another. And now I have this alligator chart where my impressions are up. Hey, impressions are up. Clicks are down. I was even sponsored, early on, this was in April of 2025, like I was able to get in at the top of the AI overviews. So that was nice. I was getting some clicks that way, but people typically won't click on the website. All right. So there's that. That's the AI overview. I'm going to share one more with Nate. And this is what's going on. And this is just to kind of give you the context of where things are at. Okay. It's a little bit of doom and gloom, but this is how we need to pivot and evolve a little bit. So Nate wrote in a blog post. Nate was the one who did that Twitter post earlier. He had a blog post called Travel Lemming. And this is where he made his living doing this. He wrote content for travelers, people who I guess love to travel. And he was following the rules that Google said, we are going to showcase and rank highly content that is written by people for people in search results. All right. That is what Google has told us to do. And after Nate pointed it out, they were breaking all their own rules. Google then changed that policy to, okay, so it's going to be helpful content created for people in search results. It's no longer by people. It's just for people in search results. So that's how they're going to start getting around with all this AI stuff. They had to change their policies. Nate's traffic to his website was reduced by 97% after these updates that were going out. Okay. All right. Well, everyone, we tried and we failed. We tried and we failed. So now what? And we have to dive deeper now into understanding Google's AI mode and how we can survive as an independent practice. Because Google AI will probably change everything we know about SEO, and big therapy is going to have to adjust as well. We don't know when all this is happening, although Google's AI mode has been rolled out to like over 170 countries now. So this is where it's going. And before we do an AI demo, a couple things we need to know about AI is that attribution is murky. So some LLMs or AIs like Copilot, Perplexity, they will pass along attributions to your analytics software or even like inside their SaaS. But right now, ChatGPT will just say it's direct traffic. They strip out the attribution. So if there's a link to your website inside ChatGPT or somewhere else, that attribution they'll strip out that attribution, and it will show up in Google Analytics as like a direct link. And a direct link is like someone who's like typing in your address directly. Okay. So attribution's pretty murky. You can't really trust it right now. Another FYI, AI generated content does not hurt your Google rankings. So this was Ahrefs did this, and they analyzed 600,000 pages and analyzed it. And they said it doesn't hurt Google rankings at all. So if people are saying AI content hurts Google rankings, it doesn't, but there is a lot of AI content out there. Google's AI mode, this is what it looks like. It's going to turn your traditional Google search into a conversational experience. And then in Google's AI mode, they're using Gemini 2.5 to surface results. All right. All right. So let's jump in AI mode here. Can someone let me know in the chat? Have you guys, anyone, I'm going to take a sip of water. Has anyone played around with AI mode at all yet inside Google's? I know you've probably done ChatGPT, but has anyone done AI mode yet? Let me know in the chat. Yes or no? No. Shannon said no. No. Okay, interesting. Google's been a little shy about it. I need to share my other screen. Now, there's two ways I think we need to think about how we interact with Google AI. The first one, Nate's never heard of it. Okay. All right. So first off, I think there's two ways we have to do this. So Ashley, why don't you unmute yourself, turn on your camera ready hair. And
love it.
That's so funny. All right, let me move you up here to the, I want to be able to see you there. Okay. So what you'll see here is you just type into Google and you have your Google search, but you'll have this thing over here called AI mode. All right. So we're just going to jump in here pretty soon. I don't know when, but it's pretty much going to go where it's just AI mode. All right. So now we're in AI mode. It's incognito. So it should be skewing my location a little bit. I suggest you do both incognito mode and the regular mode. So actually, what should we search for as it relates to your practice? How do you think people are going to be searching for you?
I guess we can pick a location maybe. So therapist, Jacksonville, Alabama.
Yeah. And
or do you want,
you know, the way people work with AI mode now, it's more conversational, right? So it's not just a chat. So like, can you, let's just say recommend a therapist near, would you say, what was it again?
Jacksonville, Alabama.
Jacksonville, Alabama. All right. Now, what they're doing is they call it a fan out. So it's going out and getting a ton of information across the web and its properties and bringing it back. All right, this is a terrible UI already. Look how terrible this is as an experience. Man, Google's a hot mess right now. Okay, so several counselors and therapy options are near Jacksonville when choosing to consider what type. All right, local. Dryden, are any of these familiar to you? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Garrett
I mean,
Townsend.
the Dryden person has a super small. That's interesting because they are like one person and not their full-time job.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Garrett, there you go. This is you. All right. And look what it's citing. It's going off and citing Psychology Today. Okay. Isn't that interesting? This isn't here. Again, we're just going to interact with this a little bit. Elevate. Highland Health Systems.
That's our mental health center.
Yours?
No, that's our, that's
in that town. Okay.
Run.
Now this is really terrible UI. I'm curious if why this is. Okay, I'll zoom in at 100%. Let me just resurface this. Let me just see if I can do this again. Wow. I encourage everyone else to pull one up on their own computer and see if this is happening or not. I don't know why. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay, so you'll see here. Let's click see. Now this is Google, right? I don't think this is me. This is Google's thing. Let's see where it's referencing here. So this little side reference. So we have a Psychology Today, Journey to Counseling, Fees, FAQs, Family Counseling. Here we go. So that's you. Next Door. Isn't that interesting? It's pulling in information from the Next Door directory.
But that's Illinois. Is that coming from?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, look at that. It's reading me. Oh, but it's not. Isn't that funny? So yeah. So again, this is kind of Google's, like, they don't have this down yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't have this down yet. It's assuming, but Garrett's showing up here. So this is your Google here. Do you have a Google business profile? It looks like right here.
I do.
Yeah.
Brent,
Search
Shannon also volunteered to be a volunteer if you want to look at another practice as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We could do that. And then look down here is Google Maps. Okay. So this is where it would typically show up on normal search results at the top. Now, here's what I like to do. I like to ask, how did you determine these results? Now we can start to see maybe some biases here, if it's honest with us. So let's see here. The list of therapists was generated by searching and aggregating publicly available data, search for local counseling centers, search for individual practitioners. So Psychology Today. So what I've seen consistently is that Google AI is going out and referencing Psychology Today. But look at this. There's Psychology is it's like, you can't, you hate them, but you gotta love them. You gotta identify university and system affiliated services. Jackson State University. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Collect provider details, relevant information. So they're scanning your website, add context from online reviews. I did see one yesterday in that I asked it, or 2 days ago. It said that it was looking for diversity, equity, and inclusion, like websites that had that. Now, here's the other thing about Google AI. It's going to change every time. Like, you may not see the same search results. It may not use the same, how should I say, like, algorithmic background to determine what images or what results to surface. Where in the traditional Google, you could pretty much predict, like, if you have a good site and you have your Google reviews, you could show up and do okay. Okay, so there's
Brent,
that.
I have a quick question.
This looks better. Yeah.
So I did the same search on AI mode over here on my screen as well. And it looks like it's pulling in from, a bunch of large websites, like nationally recognized websites. But for all the businesses in Ashley's town there, it's just pulling in their Google My Business profile, and it's not using their website. Is that a trend? Is that where it's using
Google's using its own
information?
properties.
Yeah.
Google's using its own trusted properties to pull into that, right? So let's ask one more question.
Yeah, is he coming in above me also, because it talked about rankings, right? He's got 2 Google reviews and he's got a 5-star. I've got 58 and have a 4.3. Is it pushing him higher because he's at a 5-star?
No, I don't think you can determine that just on that alone.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't always understand. Like, we could just ask. I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
I say we always ask. Stop! Don't try that. Okay, so why did Dryden Counseling? Why was recommended above Garrett, who has more Google reviews? So sometimes you need to do this with ChatGPT so you can try to understand its biases a little bit. Well, you know what? A broad search was conducted. Multiple sources were used. An initial list was compiled, not ranking. So I don't know. Did he show up, or Dryden? Is this Dryden Counseling, Psychology Today?
Mm-mm. I mean,
okay. This young man, we don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. No, you know.
Caroline Ross is me. Garrett Counseling is me.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Fascinating. Yeah, it doesn't say why. It doesn't say why. So, what would be another question to ask for it? I have a little list here. Let me pull over here. Notice it did fix its mistakes. So you have Google Maps here, which is okay. And these are going to be from your Google business listing. So what does that say? Have a Google business listing, have good reviews. All right. Prioritize that. Yeah. Any other questions you want to ask on this, Ashley?
No, I'll play with it on my end too.
Yeah. You know, you work with kids and stuff. So start asking those questions too. But I would say have a conversation with it. Let's do that. Okay. Let's see here. Did you say Shannon? All right, Shannon, jump in. If you want I can't necessarily okay, there you go.
Yes,
Hey.
Hi, it's the crack of dawn here in the West Coast, so surprisingly slightly awake. Yeah, happy to demo mine. I am pretty old school, so I try to stay low on all things.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, try to keep it on the underground.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would someone maybe search for your services?
I think they're looking for mental health therapist near Redmond, Washington. Or marriage and family therapist near Redmond, Washington.
Near Redmond, you said?
Yeah, Redmond. Yeah.
Did I spell that right?
Redmond. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And I apologize, there's a cat here with me, so if you hear...
All cats are welcome. All cats are welcome. All right.
And it should be blooming leaf counseling is what we're looking for, but...
People bloom counseling?
No, people bloom. That's Ada's practice.
Okay. Yeah, so here what we got. So it looks a little better now. Can you recommend? All right, based on these searches. So it's gonna it's interesting. I would try to blooming leaf.
Yeah, blooming leaf.
Let's we'll ask about that shortly. So we got New Ground, Redmond Christian Counseling.
Okay.
Now again, this results could vary because I'm over in Chicago.
Yeah.
They're gonna take proximity. They know where you're searching from your IP address. So they will take your proximity into, so that's why I say use regular mode as well.
Yeah.
People Bloom, Pacific Behavioral Healthcare, so rating. So look they're pulling in the ratings. So you saw here's another one actually, 4.9 stars with 64 reviews versus 5 stars with 21.
Yeah.
So it does look like there's a bit of a hierarchy here. We could say maybe 64 reviews. That wins out on top for this one.
Yeah.
And we got some pictures. These are going to be from your Google business profiles. Interesting. They're showing pictures with people's faces on it. This one is not. I recommend having your profile, your Google business page, have a picture of yourself on it or something. People will click on faces more than just couches or couches with aliens on them.
Oh yeah. Well, and I know that's of all that listing, People Bloom is the only one I know. I don't know those other people.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Never even heard of those other practices.
Here's another thing. Individual therapist from Psychology Today. Look at this.
There it is.
Look at uses emotional focused therapy and internal systems. Okay. Let's check this out. Bear with me here. Where is this at on the Psychology Today profile? So we're just going to do a search here. And I want to know, not now. Okay, so emotion focused therapy, emotion focused. Okay, so where is Google scanning this? It's not showing up there. Emotion focused. Additional training is special attachment based treatment, emotions focused couples therapy.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so interesting. So, maybe we think about having some modalities inside your bio in here. Now, what do I know from Google Ads and the ones that I manage? I know that people are looking for more specific modalities, ketamine assisted, right? So the shout out to Michelle's there. They're looking for PT, parent-child interactive therapy. People have started looking for somatic. They're looking for EMDR. So every EMDR therapist should have something on here. Okay. All right. So that's how we're seeing Google starting to scan that a little bit. You got your Google business profile. All right. Okay. Shannon, what's the name of your practice?
Blooming Leaf.
Blooming Leaf. You know, why didn't you recommend Blooming Leaf?
Let's see what's.
Yeah. Looking at 100 sites. Let's see, Blooming Life was not included in the previous recommendation because the search results did not immediately highlight it as a highly rated or prominent marriage and family therapy practice with public reviews. There you go. Look at that, guys. Yeah. So they're relying heavily on Google reviews. Okay. 0 reviews.
Yep.
And you got to get out of the underground. I mean, it's time. It's time to bloom.
Time to bloom. That is true. That's what my team says, but we like flying low on the radar because it means we don't have bad reviews.
Look at this.
I'm going to review right now.
Yeah, everyone jump over and just review, please. And then maybe at the end of today we'll do another search and see if if I
can pop up. We have a fairly full practice, so it's not being too bad.
Well, you know, that's really important. That's because you have a brand. So people are most likely are just putting your name in Google.
Yeah.
And an AI mode may not see that as a brand search yet, right? So there's AI, it's very new. Google's very scared of ChatGPT. They're trying to figure this out. So we're experiencing AI mode very early on. Look at this. Found via Psychology Today, the practice did show up and link to an individual named Sarah.
Yep. Sarah works there. Yep.
Do you have many Psychology Today profiles?
We don't anymore because I got tired of paying for them and getting no foot traffic. So
yeah.
We only have, I think, 2 now.
Yeah. Okay. This is so helpful. Thank you. Yeah. And Marriage and Family Services confirmed elsewhere. A specific search on the practice services found that it does, in fact, offer marriage and family. Okay. Well, it did scan your website and it did have that. Emphasis on public feedback. The other practice on the list, such as New Ground, Remnant, had a higher number of public Google reviews. If Google reviews weren't important before, now they're going to be even more important because Google's going to reference its own data sources. But I've also seen it, but ChatGPT is different. Okay, so ChatGPT, I saw references health grades for therapists. Yeah, I would jump on ChatGPT and just find out. Okay, so it did pull up that. I'm going to open up in the chat. So Susan, hey Susan, Hemstra wrote, wow, regular Google, I'm on the 2nd page. Google AI, I'm not there. Searching couples therapy and searching EMDR. Interesting, Susan. Yeah. So and put another question in here. Does anyone have a question? Is anyone scared? Is anyone like, what's going on? What's happening? What was the other thing? So put some questions in there if you haven't yet. Yeah, the results are not always consistent. Yes, this is why things have dropped. I would say yes and no. Google's AI mode has not. Yes, I would say AI overviews is why is affecting traffic. If you depended a lot on Google search in the past and you didn't build out a word of mouth network, referral sources, and building your brand in the real world, you're probably going to see a massive drop. So when I'm working, you know, Dr. Brent Maruz is one of my marketing clients here. Like we talk a lot about getting the name outside of just Google because of all the changes. You can't control that. You can control a little bit how you show up in your community and working with referral sources and building a brand that way. But it's getting trickier with Google. Okay, put a 1 in the chat if you found this helpful so far. Because we're going to move on. Yep. Okay. 1. Okay, good. Let me switch back. Nate, how are we doing on time?
You're doing okay. You have, I'd say about 7, 8 minutes, somewhere around there.
Perfect. All right. So let's start to wrap. Let me switch back over to my slides. And thank you, Ashley and Shannon, for being the guinea pigs on that. I appreciate that. Again, just test. Ask Google, ask ChatGPT, why? Why are you showing others and not me? And see if we can learn some things. All right, practical steps forward. Okay, Google Business Profile. Y'all just, start dropping your Google review links in the chat. Let's just start doing the Google review thing. Like, beg, borrow, and steal, whatever it takes. Build out your directory recommendations. So AI is obviously referencing directory sites. I would check on Claude. I would also check on ChatGPT as well as Google AI. Do your own brand searches. Ask ask questions as you would typically do inside an AI chatbot. Couple things. Bing is owned by Microsoft. Microsoft invested, I don't know, $1 billion into OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. And so I recommend having that. It's free. Apple Maps is trying to get into the local space and eventually sell ads on that. So if you have an Apple ID, you can put your business on Apple Maps. Right now, I think they are referencing Yelp for reviews. And many of you know this. I hate Yelp. I am a capitalist through and through. But if there was one business that would die, it would be Yelp. They are a horrible business to work with. And I'll stop there. But there's LLMs like ChatGPT, they're referencing that. And health grades, I've seen health grades get sourced in ChatGPT. All right. So think about, at least start with the free ones. So this is where building your brand is important now more than ever. So anything that includes your brand name, a product or a trademark term, like they didn't in this study, they didn't include celebrity names. But for example, I wanted to say here, one word brand query. So for example, you have YouTube, Amazon, Facebook. 2-word brand queries, Google Translate, Bank of America. All right. 3 branded queries, Inside Out 2 Showtimes, iPhone 15 Pro. This branded queries is almost 50% of the web right now. So what we need to be thinking about is, like for my wife, what we want to be seeing is like Kid Matters Child Therapist. That's my wife's practice. Marriage counseling, Bloom, things like that. You want your brand name in the search query. And I've showed this slide on other webinars before, but you have to know this. So when a potential client intent or even a referral source, when there's a problem or a referral source needs to find someone like you to refer out to. So let me walk you through these 3 things. They are problem aware. So let's say that your client, potential client is my marriage is in trouble. They know they have a problem. The second stage is really the solution aware. They know that they need to go to marriage counseling. This middle part here is where they go to Google and say, what marriage therapists need to be? What marriage therapists do you recommend in my community? What you need to be doing is brand aware. This is where you want to live, where they know, because you've done good marketing, you've done good work in the community, you've had a lot of success in working with clients. They're going to say, Thrive Marriage Counseling or Thrive Couples Therapists. And the reason why that's important, all right, is this right here. So this is traditional Google search here, but if someone types in Kid Matters Counseling, you own that entire page. In fact, you have all the different directories here referencing as well. So your competition isn't there. Google AI mode may not even show up. because we could always test that. But this is why building a brand is more important. You want to own it. You want to own that search result. You want to be able to own all that information that's going to be surfaced in Google AI mode. So I did a video on this. This is on the Therasas YouTube page. Talked about farmers markets. My wife did a farmers market this summer. It was only a couple $100. And we looked about the lessons learned in building a brand that way. You need to be thinking about omni-channel a bit more. So I would suggest starting a YouTube. If you have any videos, start putting some videos on YouTube. That is a Google property, and Google's going to be referencing that information in its search results. Okay. If you had to I hate social media. I think it's a really low ROI, but I have seen that LLMs will sometimes reference social media like LinkedIn or like Instagram, TikTok, that type of thing. So definitely start with the Google properties, and then you can move out to there if you want. Yeah, Susan, LLM is a large language model. So that's just another name for ChatGPT. And, Google AI mode. That's what all that is.
Thank you.
Most
Most
other
cited
questions,
domains.
Brent.
Huh?
Oh, I was just going to, you had about 1 or 2 minutes. Do you want to just hit, there's 2 other questions in the chat. Can I share those with you? Or do you want to finish up what you're talking about here?
Yeah, let me finish. I got like 2
All
slides
right, you
left.
do you. Yep.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Just so you know, the most 100 cited domains, Google's AI mode is, of course, Wikipedia, YouTube, blog, Reddit, Google. 3 of those properties are owned by Google. So tracking success. I did a video on Therasas this last week or 2 weeks ago on UTM tracking links. Start tracking your links from your directory sites. I show you how to use it. I show you how to set it up so you can track those inside Therasas as well. But you have to start tracking where the traffic is coming from. And then always ask, how did you hear about us on your Therasas form or intake form? You need to start getting this information, and then you can start comparing it with your digital results. And if you need to understand more about building a brand and what's going on, I have this is also on the Therasas YouTube channel on how to build a powerful brand. I did a talk at the Meet You in Kentucky conference on it. So check it out. All right. Questions?
Yep, you just have a couple. Donna asked, have you heard that it's a problem to get reviews from people that are not local to you? She understood that was a no.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
What you'll see is there's a lot of you'll see that sometimes Google will just flag the review or not show it, and you don't even know why. So I've left it for my clients, left Google reviews for my clients, and they're in totally different states and accepted. If you see if Google sees a bunch of reviews coming from India because you like hired a review farm or something, then you're going to see that. You might see those flagged, but no, you actually don't. They're kind of agnostic a little bit on that. Good question though, Donna. Thank you.
Yeah, I think also with companies that are working throughout the country, right? They're not going to police that necessarily if you are working over
Google's
state
a hot mess. They have other things they're trying. There's actually people holding reviews ransom. Unless you pay me $500 through a gift card, then I'm going to leave my 1-star review up there.
Well,
you'll see that.
And then Brent asks, are you recommending contracting with these directories like Psych Today and others, like any other marketing expense? Yeah,
great question. Right now, it seems like having one Psych Today, and maybe it's just your brand name. You could do that instead of just one therapist. Do it as for your practice. I've seen that. But maybe having one could be helpful. And we can talk about how to track that information as well. But the other thing is there's just so many Psych Today profiles. There's thousands and thousands.
So many possibilities.
Yeah.
Then just one follow-up from Karen. She said, concerns about soliciting client reviews regarding ethics. And I'm quite sure you were not talking about client reviews there, but do you want to share on that?
Yeah, don't solicit from clients, solicit from friends and everyone here on this webinar today. I'm serious. Like, if you feel comfortable, it's up to you. But that's how we do it. That's how we do it.
I think just my thought there is you don't need to be non-ethical, right? Or lie in reviews, but you can review someone and say, like, this is a great person to work with, right? Like, they're really, it can be
I really trust this
right?
person.
So,
or you can even say like if it's a play therapist where like the playrooms are incredible. This is such a welcoming environment for anyone, right? It doesn't have to be even on the services, super easy parking, 5-star review, whatever, whatever it takes. Okay.
There was a coffee shop that just opened by me, and they had 90 reviews in their first day. And I think they went really hard with their friends and family. And I was very impressed by that. So not saying you need 95-star reviews, but definitely utilize your network, right? So,
Oh, when we got started with
cool.
Kid Matters, it was like, hand me your phone, best friends. We're going to start leaving some Google reviews. That's what we did. All right. Are we
Very
at time?
good. Well,
Was
thank you,
good. Any
Brent.
other questions? Thank you for the thumbs up. Yeah. Thank you for your attention, everyone.